presenting here. I'll actually sit on the side, and that way everyone will have that Spanish one, I think. So whoever wants to start, I believe Mr. Ramos, Sam Ramos? No. Pleasure meeting.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Manny Burgos. I'm actually from a different firm, BTN Consulting. Our firm is on contract to coordinate local hiring, local contracting, local supply buying, as well as MWBE recruitment for some of the contracts. And so I'm going to somewhat MC our presentation tonight. The Rinaldi Group is the general contractor on the site, and many of you, longtime Harlem residents, know that this is a project that goes back for over 10 years in terms of just waiting. So it's here, and even though there was a delay in the start of construction for just a couple of months, it's a blip compared to the many delays of over a decade. But Rinaldi Group will speak on this, that it is moving forward finally, and so let me turn it over to someone from Rinaldi to maybe talk about what's going on right now.
Hi, I'm Randy Vargas. I'm one of the project managers on site at the Victoria Theater. Right now, we're in the beginning stages of the project. We're actually going out and soliciting to demolition and foundation subcontractors. We've started some demos, some asbestos removal, and some selective removals of some of the it was a renovated project, so we're taking off the 1980s stuff and leaving out the leaving in the historical elements, and that's where we stand at the moment. I don't know.
I think it was the November meeting, Tiara from our staff presented to this committee, and one of the concerns that was raised is, or questions rather, was what about local contracting? You should know that using the construction blue book, we have the zip codes of the catchment area for this project. It encompasses all of Board 9, 10, 11, and 12. Or you look at a map and roughly 96th Street, east and west, to the top of Manhattan, all of Upper Manhattan. And so with that, and with the zip codes, we've aggressively gone trade by trade, so that when Rinaldi lets us know that the next bid is coming out, we're able to send a list of the local firms, so that it's not just about MWBE, because you can get an MWBE from the other side of New Jersey, near Philadelphia, whereas you may have a firm right down the block employing people right from this neighborhood. So this is a project that's looking to do both MWBE as well as local contracting. And for the MWBEs that are in the catchment area, certainly we're paying a lot of attention to those. And you should know that several MWBEs did submit bids for demolition that are right from this area. So we took that to heart, and going forward on every bid, we will be supplying names of firms. And we've already identified a lot of suppliers as well. Purchasing that locally is a big plus anyway, because you save on transportation costs. To talk about the next trades that are going to come on board after demolition, can you talk about that?
Good evening, my name is Antonio Davila. I'm with the Rinaldi Group. Like Randy had just said, there's abatement going on, demo. We're going to start looking at some mechanicals. There's going to be foundation, superstructure coming up. So those are the trades that we're going to be looking for. from his group to give us a list of qualified people in the area. Like you said, we're giving priority here for hiring, both on the supplier, contractor, and individuals. So as the project moves on, you will be getting updates on the trades that we're bidding on, and those lists will be coming into us from his group. Qualified will get first priority in the area. We're making sure that they're then in turn going to be giving a list of qualified individuals who might be able to work for that firm. So that way they can hire people from the area also. So in conjunction, in coordination with his group, we'll be making sure that the community is represented in this project from the beginning to the end. So right now, there's where we at trade-wise. I think in the next couple months, you'll be seeing some movement. Asbestos removal, it's tricky, so we have to make sure it's done properly. We can't move on until it's done. So once it's done, the project will be moving forward a little faster than it has been, all right? Man, you want to finish up?
I just wanted to finish by commenting on the local hiring. Rather than do outreach events to attract what will be hundreds of people that are going to be looking to work on site, and rather than those individuals, let's say someone with experience in carpentry, having to wait maybe 2 years to get a phone call to come in for an interview, every 6 months we're going to look at what trades are going to come on board and then do a solicitation just on those trades. This way people don't get too anxious waiting. And for the entry-level positions, if they're on a list for a trade because they showed an interest, say for masonry, but they don't get hired for masonry, they'll go back into the pool. And one thing our firm does is we do contact people every 4 to 6 weeks to make sure they're still interested in staying on the list. And we also let them know about other construction projects. Our firm currently is involved in 7 local hiring projects, and some are in Manhattan. So if we hear about something that's now and that person is interested or has the skills, we're going to call them and say, hey, do you want to keep waiting, or do you want to go for an interview on something that's available now? Once people are hired, our firm does call them up. We make sure they showed up that day. We make sure they were on time. We check in with them every few weeks to make sure that they're getting along with their coworkers. We want to make sure that they stay employed for the entire length that they're supposed to. Our firm just started doing that about 2 years ago with local hiring, and since then on all our projects the retention rate has been close to 100%, just for following up. But we have a lot of partners in the community. There's a lot of nonprofits involved in this. The Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone has put us in touch with the East Harlem Talent Network. Not to mention we're in touch with a lot of the elected officials and a number of other groups. And that's very important because sometimes if people are not showing up on time for work or there's problems, there may be something else going on. It may not just be that they didn't set their alarm clock. Through the service providers, there can be, we can attach them to services through case management. So we're really going out of our way to make sure that if you get hired, you're going to stay for the length of that time. All construction jobs are temporary, but for whatever the time is, we want them there from day one to the very end. Any questions for us?
I'll start. Just give us a quick walkthrough in terms of the timeline for each phase of this project, and also the number of jobs that you anticipate for those timelines.
You want to talk about timeline?
Timeline-wise, the project is scheduled to be completed by the end of 2018.
2018?
Fourth quarter.
Yes.
what's going to be the breakdown in terms of, first,
Project
of course,
schedule?
starting with demo?
Yeah, we don't have a full schedule laid out at this point, but I would say demo will be completed somewhere around June, and that's when they'll break ground with foundation. After that, it's kind of ambiguous at the moment. But at the end of the day, the deadline is looking like the end of 2018.
And I just want to add to that Tiara Clark, who you've met, she's our local project manager, and she was the first of the local hires. We wanted someone right from the neighborhood, not in a basic admin role, but with a real project manager. She's going to be coming to these meetings at least every quarter, plus on special requests. And you can ask that same question every quarter, is give us an update on the schedule so that you'll hear the next phase as it's happening. Because 2018 is still a little ways down, they're not that far yet in schedule, but you'll hear at least what's going on in the next few months.
And in terms of the numbers, the jobs you're anticipating?
Still working on that. However, when we all met recently, one thing that was decided is, at a minimum, all the entry-level positions are going local, because there's no reason for that to go somewhere else. And beyond that, we're tiering each individual from as either entry-level, somewhat experienced, moderate experience, to advanced, with real construction skills and experience. So on that bottom tier, we're going to see a lot of folks get hired. And that one, I guess, is going to end up being answered every quarter as well. Currently, I'll follow up with you directly once we have the numbers and once a contractor is in place for demolition, and we'll update you as best we can.
Each contractor, each trade has different manpower requirements. So based on the trades, we'll have different amounts of entry level, mid-level, and then experience. So as our schedule grows, our information team will grow according to what's going to be bid out. So, between us, you'll have an update on who's getting hired and what's available at any given time.
And Rinaldi's also letting bidders know in the bid process that there's local hiring. So it's not waiting till the contract stage.
Yeah.
You bid on this, you know that there's some strings attached.
Yeah. It's really part of the contract. Right? They have to adhere to it. They can't. I mean, we make all attempts. There's certain trades that need specialty, so that may not be where our hiring quota is going to be met. Maybe in other trades where we can get people at entry level and all. So, like I said, it's going to go like this. But we'll let you know exactly what's going on at any given time.
What is the process of going through the East Harlem Talent Network? Like, how does that go about? How do they make the connection with the jobs?
Well, as when a notice gets put out that we're doing a solicitation for, say, demolition, workers that are interested in excavation and foundation, all the early trades. So I'm speaking very specifically. It will go out to them, as well as to a number of other providers that are not in the talent network. But by and large, the majority of the service providers are in the network. There's only a handful that aren't. So the notice goes out, and then they go to their members to say, here's the solicitation, which will be something in writing. It'll state the position, the number of positions available, if there's any special qualifications. It's construction, so automatically there is one basic qualification, that's OSHA 10. Cannot set foot on a construction site without that. But entry level, you still need OSHA 10. So anything that's required, the rate of pay, which will always be commensurate with experience, and other details like the approximate length of the job, and so that each of the talent network members knows exactly how to recruit for that. And then we're going to do, our firm will do speed interviews to just meet the individuals, screen them, etc. Then we, in coordination with Rinaldi, will put these individuals in front of each contractor. And we will try for every position available to send 3 candidates. And then candidates that, don't get hired, they'll go right back into the pool. No one is gonna, it's not like a, one shot and that's it, you're out. They'll go right back in.
And is there follow-up from the East Harlem Talent Network to see how, things are going with the employees that they provide?
Absolutely. We'll be giving, we're the intermediary of this. Tiara and someone else from my staff, Serge, will be meeting with someone on site from Rinaldi Group, because they are the in-between with each contractor. So we go through Rinaldi, they speak with the subs and get us feedback, and this is just a weekly quick labor meeting. It's also where we hear feedback, hey, this guy was late twice last week and once the week before. Okay, that's an alert. We then get in touch with the talent network and the service provider to say, hey, I think you need to call this individual because there's something going on. You can't be late at construction. Construction is really rigid about starting on time, right? And so that kind of intervention, it doesn't mean that people can't get fired. I mean, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But we've spent hours working out mechanisms for that kind of intervention. And we will be tracking this. Certainly reports will be available to your board every quarter showing how many people have been hired and by each trade. We won't give names and things like that because that's personal, but we will release a very detailed report. And then if you need like an interim report or anything, you'll always be able to reach out to Tiara and say, hey, our board needs to look at February through April specifically. Could you just put something together for us? Of course. Because we're updating our database weekly. So once it's in our database, it's not that much effort, to give you whatever you need. And we encourage you to make those requests. We really do.
And just one more question.
Sure.
I mean, choosing East Harlem Talent Network versus like the workforce, for example, I just want to know like what.
Workforce One is part of this.
Okay.
Sure.
Who else do you have involved?
All the elected officials' offices, the borough president's office, Harlem Community Development Corporation. I mean, it's a long list. I can't remember because the list is over 100.
Oh, okay.
And so
Can you
certainly
provide-
the talent network,
Right.
but
Yeah.
if you're in Upper Manhattan, chances are we've talked to you already, and if we haven't, we will soon.
Can we get the list of the cooperating entities?
Sure. Tiara, would you mind making a note of that? Thank you. Tiara will follow up with you, give her a date, and she'll send a list. And if there's an entity that's not on the list, please let us know. It's not like you don't get in at the beginning, that's it, come back in 2019. No, we want that list to grow. We want to make sure people have opportunity. So Tiara will be back periodically, but if you need her to come back next month or the month after, just let us know. Okay.
Any other questions from board members? No? If not, any questions from the community? If not, thank you very much.
Oh, wait, there's a question.
Oh.
There's a question.
I just wanted to know what does MWBE stand for?
Great question. It's actually two things. It's minority business enterprise and women business enterprise. And to go a step further, so let's say you are either a minority or a woman, or both, and you start a business. After 1 year, you can apply to be certified with either the city, the state, or the federal government, as well as a number of the public authorities. What that certification gets you is, especially on the state side, there are very aggressive goals that have to be met for projects like construction. Aggressive is over 20% of the project, of the funding amount of a project has to go to a minority business. 8 to 10% has to go to a women-owned business, certified with the state. The city has different requirements, but very similar. So when you hear MWBE, what we're referring to is firms that are certified with a certain level of government, city, state, or federal. It's a great question.
And it should be noted that it is one of the priorities of this board and this city and the governor to strongly encourage businesses, development to use MWBE businesses for their work, because there is a paucity of MWBE businesses currently involved in a number of different construction projects, developments. It's much, much smaller than the population the numbers clearly are not aligned to where they should be. We're not getting our fair share. So consequently, what he just mentioned is one of the ways to make sure that businesses do get the opportunity to take advantage of the contracts that are available.
It's a hot issue in city government right now. You're going to see that when you hear city news stories from City Hall. So now you'll understand it better, and it's worth paying attention, because the city is about to start catching up to the state, and it's about time.
Yeah, very much.
The comptroller's office puts out an annual report that you can get from his website,
Yes.
giving grades to city agencies as far as how well they've been doing business with MWBE firms. Unfortunately, it's not as good as it should be and can be, or will be.
Thank you for having us. It's always great to come up here. I know quite a few of the board members here, and it's always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to go into the SLA applications. Oh, yeah.
Here's some things over here. Spread out.
And I see the one and only Mr. Davis, Lundell Davis, sitting here.
I'll wait. I want to hear.
You'll wait? Okay, very good. Then we'll go to the next applicant.
Isn't he the next one? What?
He's gonna wait,
I'm
so
just
we'll
gonna,
just,
I want to hear.
he wants to hear the other.
Still, he could hear the other
Oh,
after he took it.
okay.
Oh, I can do that. You want me to do
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't make a difference to me. I'm not big.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, I want to thank the board for allowing me to come before you tonight, because you didn't notify me. So, President John was able to accommodate me. So anyway, I'm Rundell Davis. I have 3 locations over Harlem. The L Lounge, Rundell's Restaurant, and the Green Parrot Lounge. I am so-called homegrown, as Keith Wright says. We're both raised right here in the community. And former police officer. In the public school right here. In fact, the Victoria Fine, when I was a kid, it was 35 cents. And there was like several movie theaters in Victoria Fine was one of the premier places. So I'm very excited about this project. I heard about it 20 years ago. And it's finally come to fruition. And praise the Lord. So anyway, the L Lounge permit is up for renewal. It's 3 years old. It's been a very stressful project. I really wanted that particular space downtown because minority representation below on 20th Street is minimal. There's only a few of us. Leon Ellis, Melba, and maybe a few other people. So the L Lounge, it's a lounge. So we have a small menu. There's about 4 employees. And I do expect to get that as the time more people come to the community, and that spot across the street is renovated. So it's we're good neighbors. The Livermore building, which it's residing in, tends to be very difficult, and they put a lot of pressure on us. We're accommodating. I say that this place is not den of iniquity. It's a place people can come and congregate, have a good time, relax. I don't believe in security. I don't think it's necessary because I'm kind of very, very, I guess I'm a taskmaster, and I'm an on-hand manager. All three of my places, and most of the people who patronize it, and I'm on hand, I'm always there. So I really appreciate you guys giving me another year to do this thing, and I'll try to live up to your expectations.
Sorry. Okay, yes. Okay, so I'll just go through the questions and the renewal. It's an LLC owned entirely by yourself.
Yeah.
And you already mentioned the prior licenses and locations. Your lease term, how long is that for?
It's 7 years with a 3-year option.
And a description of your menu?
The menu is mostly appetizers. There are buffalo wings and crab cakes. We do a beer bag fries. It's about six items. Unfortunately, we don't have gas. Everything's electric. So we have some big convection oven. And the product comes out very, very good. I've looked to several vendors to find a product that really represents the place. And these items, it works.
The price points?
The price points are probably a little less than the other places around. I think that we're less than competitive.
Your hours of operation, 11:30 a.m. to 11 p.m.?
No, we're open from 4 o'clock until 12, from Tuesday through Thursday, and Friday and Saturday until 2. We don't stay open until 4 o'clock because, like I said, Livermore is very difficult upstairs, and I really don't think that it's necessary to stay that late.
What kind of music system do you have?
We do karaoke. We have a disc jockey 1 night a week. The requirement for karaoke as well as disc jockey is to have smaller volume speakers, because I don't think it has to be loud for people to enjoy. And most of my clientele tends to be mature people. We don't really cater to a certain element. And certain music we don't play.
Your floor plan, what's your seating capacity?
We have about, I think it's maybe 35, 40 seats. That's a combination of bar stools and benches and couches.
You are compliant with the American Disabilities Act.
It's ground level, it's handicap accessible. There's 2 bathrooms there, 1 is handicapped.
And so what kind of objections have you had from neighbors, businesses, community organizations, civic leaders, or other interests parties?
There have been, in fact, I met with the 28th precinct inspector just recently, and he talked about how several of the condos along the strip are complaining about noise. In fact, the fellow Blue Jeans has had his ceilings reinforced. My manager at the restaurant at the lounge has had conversations with some of the tenants upstairs, and she's indicated to them, whenever there's an issue, feel free to come downstairs and we will address it. In fact, the person who's over the lounge for a minute, he has since sold and moved. He had my home number, so whenever something didn't bother, he had a problem with something, he would call me at home. I think we have a good relationship with people. Like I said, I want to be a good neighbor.
Have you had 911 complaints?
No.
Yeah, police activity?
I think there was something that was going on. There's a problem in the area with panhandling. There's some fellas that go around harassing people, and they came to my place. Other than that, I haven't really had a problem with it.
Okay. Any state liquor authority violations or charges, or any other violations or charges related to the service of alcohol? Material change in business operations since the prior grant of renewal license?
No.
And the number and categories of employees' compensation and benefits?
Well, there's only, I think there's 4 people on staff now. There's 2 people that work maybe a couple days a week. But other than that, it's basic operation that can be run by 3 or 4 people. Doesn't follow the staff, not a Wandell.
And you hire from the community?
Most of my people from the community, because I just feel that people live within 10, 15 block radius, they're less inclined to be late, to be absent.
How do you hire? Put a post in the window?
We do several things. I've done Craigslist. A lot of people are referred to me.
And what are your employee training policies? How do you get a new employee?
Well, most of the time, we look at people's experience, because my clientele tend to be rather demanding. So we try to find people that are rather good at their craft. But sometimes you get exceptional people, and I think that they are what's called keepers. And we take the time to train them. I have an excellent manager and some assistant managers, and I think that the people we put out there are pretty good.
Questions from the board? Stanley?
Yeah.
You get
I agree about that.